Hey, good evening, everyone. Like Bill said, my name is Manny Citron. I'm the assistant managing director, and I'm an assistant managing director with the City of Philadelphia, and I'm also the Northeast Division coordinator for what we call PhillyRising. I'm here to speak with you all today because PhillyRising will be starting operations in Lawncrest in early 2012. So I'm going to give you a little explanation of what PhillyRising is, and then when I'm done, if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask me. So PhillyRising is actually pretty ambitious. The goal is that PhillyRising will be a new way for the city to do business. And what that means to you as residents and as members of this community is we want to transform how you interact with the city and what your expectations are in terms of city services. The kind of the genesis for PhillyRising is it's based on the PSA model that the police used that was brought in by Commissioner Ramsey. And I think the PSAs have been around for a few years, so I think we are all kind of familiar with that idea, where there's a First Lieutenant Tomlin, who is specifically assigned to one section of the district, and he has his own officers under him. And the idea is that with the PSAs, the officers work and they're dedicated to one area, and they get to know everybody, and they get to learn what's going on there. PhillyRising incorporates the same philosophy, but we pull in the civilian side of the municipal government. Overall, the concept is to bring you as residents, to bring you smarter government, faster government, better government. And we get there by promoting a new model for doing our work. The first thing is that PhillyRising, we have to be responsive to your needs. So I think we can all remember from past big initiatives that happened in Philly, whether it was NTI or Operation Clean Streets or something like that, where decisions were made at the top level, people came into neighborhoods, they did their work, and then they left, and there was no more interaction. That's, in the long term, that doesn't work. In the long term, whatever good work we do is undone once we leave. So the idea here is not to say, for us as the top level of city government, this is what you in Lawncrest need. It's for me to come here and have a conversation with you and say, what is it you want? What are your visions for making this neighborhood the best neighborhood in Philadelphia? And then how can we work together to get there? Now the second part of it is we want to build your capacity as a neighborhood. We already have this great, wonderful, and very active civic community association, but what else is there? Are there any areas where you do need to help build up your leadership? Are there any areas where people just don't understand how some of the city processes work? Our goal as PhillyRising is to work with you and train you on that. And two of the tools that we do have available is, one is we call it the neighborhood liaison training for the Philly 311 program. Most people have heard of the 311. You have a question about city government, you have a service issue you need, you call them, and you can get your issue taken care of. Not everyone knows the inside of how it works, and the neighborhood liaison program where we do training shows you exactly how that works. Another program that we use is we call it the Citizens Engagement Academy, and that lets you, just as regular citizens or as block captains or committee people, whatever you might be, come down and meet with, it's like a 6-week course, it's free, no charge. Meet with different people from different city agencies, L&I 1 week, Streets Department another week, learn how they do their work from them, and learn what you need to do to work with them on your issues. The third thing is PhillyRising. For us to say we've done our job, it needs to be sustainable. And that doesn't necessarily mean trees and green space, so that can be part of it, but that's not really what we're getting at. When I say we want to be sustainable, is that once we've done our work here, you guys are trained up as residents, and you know how to access government, and even if PhillyRising moves to another location in this district that needs a little more help after we've been working with you, these functions that we put in are still in place, and you still know where to go, and you still have people answering your phone calls if you have issues with city government. On top of that, we also use new technology. PhillyRising uses Facebook to get a message out. We use Twitter to get a message out. I had to start a Facebook account when I started PhillyRising because that's one of the ways we interact with you as a community. We also are working on adding PhillyRising to the city's website. That should be ready in about a month. It's been worked on for a while, and we're getting all the final bugs out. The final issue with PhillyRising is that, especially this ties into the idea of better government and smarter government, is the fiscal impact. The days of things like NTI, where we would have $100 million in a bond issue, those days are beyond us. I mean, we all know the economy is not that great, and the city just doesn't have a lot of money right now. But that doesn't mean that we can't work within the means that we have, because we do have a lot of resources as a city. We can work within the means that we have to coordinate better and make sure services are appropriated and given out to the community in a better fashion. Now, here in Lawncrest, like I said earlier, PhillyRising is going to be starting in, well, I'm here now. We're going to do an official launch for PhillyRising in early 2012, January, February. And once we do that, we will start working on what we call an action plan. The action plan is what we use. That's the product of our conversation. So by me meeting with you here, with different pastors in the community, with folks in the council offices, with folks from the community association, we get to figure out what are the goals for this neighborhood. Once we develop those goals, we have the action plan, everybody signs off on it, and then we work towards those goals. It's not just about writing a plan, it's about working on that plan and getting things done. So I'll give you an example. Right now I'm working in Frankfurt is one of the areas in the Northeast I'm working in. We were doing the action plan. One of the needs we identified in Frankfurt was green space. So I'm partnering with the Parks and Recreation Department and with the high school and the junior ROTC kids to do a survey of all the green space in Frankfurt. Once we figure that out, we'll see where we can put new trees for them. Now, Lawncrest is a pretty big neighborhood. PhillyRising in Lawncrest, we have pretty distinct boundaries, mostly because we had to select some type of boundaries. So our official boundaries are Tabor to Godfrey to Hasbrook to Conley. Well, anyway.
Say that again.
Yeah, I was doing it for me, and then you were all looking at it backwards. So Tabor to Godfrey to Hasbrook to Conley. Now that's not all of Lawncrest, and we know that. But that being said, that's our target area, but those are soft boundaries. So if there's issues going on a block elsewhere, let me know about it. And that's something that we can work on. Now already we've been doing some work here with the neighborhood. PhillyRising was able to provide tools for the cleanup two Saturdays ago at the Lawncrest Rec Center. I was there to help with the actual cleanup. I was there doing the setup for the Veterans Day services last Friday. We will continue working towards our launch by meeting with all the stakeholder groups, all the pastors, all the elected officials, all the representatives, to see what it is that we can do to really work on this neighborhood. The three goals for PhillyRising. First is improved coordination for city services in this neighborhood. And that comes to me. That's my responsibility. The other is measurable results. So first there's the action plan that we're going to develop, and we are measured by whether or not we complete those goals. The other part of the measurable results is, it is our intention that PhillyRising will lead to crime going down. Now we've had some really good response already in the Hartranft neighborhood, which is right around 9th and Cumberland. PhillyRising has been active for a little over a year now. And if we do a year-over-year look, year before PhillyRising, year after PhillyRising, once we started being active there, our target area saw a 15% drop in the Part 1 crimes. Part 1 crime is your major crimes. Those are anything involving a firearm, those are assaults, those are robberies, murders, anything like that. So we saw a pretty significant drop in that neighborhood over the course of 1 year through PhillyRising.